Hey soldiers, you're not going to believe what more and more Americans are having to resort to just to make ends meet in these inflationary times that we're living in right now. Also, do you heat with oil? You heat your home with oil? Do you know someone who does? Well, heating oil is going to be going up quite probably this winter in America. Now, we've heard about the Germans. We got some German subscribers. They're telling the Germans to chop firewood. Oh my God! Polish people are lining up for coal, okay, to heat their homes. And the British, some of them are getting bills for their gas and electric of 10,000 euros, which is roughly $10,000.
Damn.
This is just totally unsustainable. Isn't that a word that certain ideology loves to use, sustainability? There's nothing sustainable about this. So we're going to get into it, talk to you about these things, and then we're going to go over, as we always do, some mitigating factors that you may consider employing. All right, so, excuse me, Future Tyrone here again. Really quickly, okay, this channel didn't start growing until you started asking people to subscribe. You've got over 1 million subscribers here in the future. Well, look, you're from the future, so why don't you give me some information I can use, like, you know, the S&P next week. What's it going to close at? I can't give you information about the future. That would violate the timeline. All right, understandable. Okay, thank you. Like, subscribe, share. All right, now let's get to the serious news. What's going on out there in terms of these job numbers? Now, you know they always like to try to paint the rosiest picture with regard to jobs. That's why we have a few different measures of the unemployment rate. Now, one of the unemployment rates that the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports is the U3 rate. Now, that U3 rate, that's the one you'll hear on the news because it's much more palatable to politicians, be they Republican or Democrat. Whoever's in office, they're going to report the U3 rate because it's lower than the rate that is more reflective of reality. So right now, for August of 2022, the U3 rate sits at 3.8%. Okay, unemployment. They're basically making the case that, you know, there's roughly 96% employment out there. All right, whatever. The U6 rate, now we just reported the U3, the U6 rate, which is a more accurate reflection of the job situation in America, that stands at 7%. All right, now here's the thing. More and more Americans are having to actually work 2 full-time jobs. Now, we talked to you previously about all of the people who were working 2 or more jobs. Now the number for people working 2 full-time jobs is rising. People are out here working 80 hours a week, and that figure is climbing. In fact, the number of people working 2 full-time jobs per week is 440,000. That is an all-time high. Now, if you take people who are just working multiple jobs, that has reached 7.7 million people. Okay, so that's a substantial part. That's almost 5% of the labor force. Okay, so when you're hearing that, oh, the economy is just, it's doing so well, you're hearing that from who? Politicians and people making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, working on a news program. So sure, the economy is just, you know, gangbusters for them. But for the rest of us, that's not the case. Okay, so we had the president come out and give an address to the nation a few days ago, and he did not mention these economic woes that America finds itself in. This is why, you know, we did the video, yesterday's video was on the situation where more and more Americans are feeling as though they are facing eviction. I tell you who needs to be evicted. A lot of these politicians need to be thrown out of office because what's going on at this point is it's frustrating. And I was having a conversation with a group of young people, they were in their mid-20s, okay, mid to late 20s, and they were lamenting the fact that, things seem a little different. They don't gravitate toward this American dream that has been sold for so many decades. And I can tell you, when I was their age, okay, I felt as though the sky was the limit. The world was my oyster. But there are some differences between my day and their day. I do believe there's more opportunity out here than ever before. Take this teeny tiny YouTube channel that I have, okay? This community, we got just over 1,000 subscribers.
Watch out now.
I would have never been able to reach a global audience 25, 30 years ago. It would have been prohibitively expensive. It would have been just so far out of my reach. I wouldn't even have been, when I was starting out, I wouldn't have been able to reach a local audience. I didn't have the money. So that is emblematic. This social media is emblematic of opportunities that exist that weren't there before. However, I do know that when it was time for me to get a job, I didn't start out entrepreneurially. And guess what? I pounded the pavement. And knocking on an office door and someone answering that door and me being able to impress upon them my winning personality, my work ethic, hand them a resume, that made the difference. That was my kickstart.
Please listen to my demo.
Right now, if you're submitting a resume, it's going to a computer and the algorithm is looking for keywords and it doesn't give a damn about your personality. And, maybe you'll hear from them, maybe you won't. So I do understand that. I'm very frustrated at the fact that this administration is giving out things like this $10,000 debt relief for student loans, which won't stand up in court. People, don't spend the money. What? Because this is not, the president cannot do this unilaterally. This thing is going to court, and most likely you're going to be responsible for the money. Okay, so little shell games they're playing, window dressing with people's lives. But listen, this channel is all about seeing through that and trying to identify opportunities that you can employ. So where are the opportunities here? Well, number one, as I always tell you, think very, very carefully about who you're going to cast a vote for in this upcoming election in November. Okay, we're going to have midterm elections. Think wisely, because I can tell you, if the United States of America was a corporation, the CEO we have right now and the directors would be deep sixed quick.
Bitches leave.
Okay, so that's one thing. We'll get to another in just a minute. Also understand that there's a possibility that heating oil is going to hit $5 per gallon this winter. And if you heat your home using heating oil, that's something you need to be concerned with. So if it becomes prohibitively expensive, you need to have a plan in place right now so that you won't be in a panic situation, or you won't be in a situation where you actually endanger yourself and your loved ones by, I was a firefighter. I know candles, that can go awry. Heating elements inside the home, it takes some study to figure out what's safe. Okay. But you may have to employ some of these strategies if oil is prohibitively expensive this winter. The whole Western world is feeling this. America, you're not alone. In fact, if heating oil goes to $5, at least there'll be something available, which is more than the Germans can say, because their government, in all of its wisdom, this is the most technologically advanced government or nation in Europe, Germany, and they're telling their people to chop firewood, okay, as if we're back in the 1800s, the early 1800s. That's where these policies have led, okay? Now, I know what I'm about to say is difficult for some, but you have got to, I don't care how little it is or how insignificant it may seem, you've got to start putting more money away and being disciplined about not touching it. And when I say put money away, I'm not suggesting you take cash and put it under your mattress, because the inflationary effect will make the feathers in your mattress worth more than that money. So we've talked about ways to structure an emergency account and then move on from there to start purchasing assets. Look, guys, this is the only way out. One of the people in the discussion I was having, a couple actually, they were really like against the capitalist system. And they were saying, well, why is it that we can't have a structure where people just get what they need? Okay, and I tried to impress upon them the fact that, okay, let's say you need an appendectomy, all right? Well, who is going to provide that service, okay? Do you really want a doctor that's free? Do you really want that, okay? I want an airline pilot who's getting paid well, okay? Now look, this is the system. We have two major systems in the world today, systems of economics, ways to structure societies. One is capitalism, one is socialism. Now, I don't know of any other one, okay? But of those two, based on history, the one that is most reflective of human nature is capitalism. I deal with reality as it is presented. And in this reality, the economic system we work in is capitalism. So I have to make that work. Sure, I would love to see a Star Trek-like post-scarcity environment where we could explore and just pursue intellectual enlightenment. Oh, I would love that. However, that is not the reality in which we reside. Okay, we don't occupy that reality. So we have to deal with what is. And purchasing assets like real estate, okay, that you can profit from because people need places to live, all right, that's one way to do it. One young lady in the discussion said to me, why are you defending the system? And I told her, because complaining does not pay well, and I need to eat while you are thinking up a better system, okay? So in the meantime, until you get around to that mystical, magical day, I need to eat, I need to live in a shelter. The only one that's responsible for doing that for me is me, okay? My family, myself, is my responsibility. And let me leave you with this. There's a disturbing kind of attitude that is growing in America, in the world in general today, the Western world in specific. And that attitude is that politics and politicians have all the answers. And let me tell you, they have next to none. And you should be able to see that by what's going on in the world today. Politicians are not these uber men and women, okay? They are regular people with outsized ambitions, all right? And ultimately, when they go to the legislature, be it your city council, your county council, state legislature, or Congress, they care about themselves first and foremost. Most of them. Now, I will call out a few. A few come to mind that, are, people focused. But that's not the majority of legislators at all. So if anybody out there has this idea that, oh, it's just going to mean me voting for someone and my situation is going to change. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, your situation may change for the worse depending on who you vote for. I would rather vote for somebody and get them in there and they do absolutely nothing, as opposed to these people like our president, who has never held a job outside of politics in his adult life.
He ain't lying.
This individual does not know what it takes to make a payroll, okay? He has no idea, no clue. So we've got too many people occupying these very important positions that know nothing about the world in which we reside and occupy. So that's why I'm telling you, don't count on politicians, okay? The best you can hope for from them is that they do nothing. Gridlock is your friend. Trust me. I had a professor in college, and he happened to be a state senator. And he said to me in the class on several occasions, whenever a legislature meets, your life, liberty, and happiness are in jeopardy. Okay, guys, so if you haven't seen it already, go back and take a look at that video we did about how millions of Americans are facing eviction. Let these issues, really study them, understand what's going on, because we're telling you facts. They're uncomfortable. We're not doom and gloom. We try to bring you stuff that's going to benefit you from knowledge and from thinking about some mitigating factors, which you can, protect yourself. But you do need to know the truth. And that's what we're bringing to you here. Okay, guys? So take a look at that video. I'll talk to you soon.